Have you ever read an amazing comic book and thought, wow, what a story? Yeah, me neither. Actually, scratch that. I have read some great ones in my day, but not recently. Not since the mainstream publishers turned every issue into a harangue, shoving politics and social agendas where they don't need to be, all while simultaneously destroying classic characters with SJW-level fan service. I mean, at this point, even Deadpool is sick of it. All that being said, there is one thing that's even worse than a comic book company ruining their own product, and that's when they destroy someone else's. Like what happened with Bloodshot. You know, the Valiant Comics character created by Kevin Van Hook. Well, it started with one panel. One single panel in Bloodshot Beyond #1 sparked outrage among a small group of fans. And within hours, Valiant and Alien Books issued public apologies and promised rewrites, not because the image was hateful or bigoted or contained actual hate speech or anything like that, no, because the line directly challenged a carefully constructed political narrative. The original dialogue in question came from Bloodshot himself, a nanite-enhanced killing machine brought back to life by Project Release, or PRS. Now, if you're not familiar with Bloodshot lore, basically PR swipes their agents' memories after each mission. So they have no idea who they are or why they do the things they do. So in this series, we watch as Ray Garrison, aka Bloodshot, slowly regains fragments of his former life and begins questioning his loyalties. In the second issue, he learns about his wife's death and confronts Morgan in the hopes of getting answers. But instead of giving him the truth, she distracts him with images of their daughter, implying that she might still be alive. Then comes the inflammatory line, which reads, "My child is a bargaining chip." That's your argument, as in, you think having a child hostage justifies everything I've done? It's a pretty loaded statement and obviously a challenge to Morgan's authority, but it wasn't intended to be anything more than a natural reaction from our protagonist. And yet, that one line almost sank Valiant Comics. In a joint statement, Valiant and Alien Books announced that they had heard the concerns of their readers and vowed to make changes moving forward. Specifically, they would reprint issue #2 with alternate dialogue that avoids the political hot potato they were suddenly holding. Now, some people might look at this and see good corporate behavior, a company listening to feedback and making adjustments. But that's not what happened here. This was a cave, too. Online activists, and everyone involved has made that much abundantly clear. The original 4-issue miniseries was set to be released between May and August 2023, with issue No. 3 scheduled for June. You can bet that news of the Bloodshot controversy traveled fast. Just a few days after Valiant apologized for that one line, the publisher announced that Jeff Lemire would no longer be writing the final 3 issues. To say this was odd would be a bit of an understatement. The creative team was announced over a year ago, with no indication that Lemire would leave the project before its completion. There was no mention of scheduling conflicts or personal issues. Just a sudden parting of ways that left many scratching their heads. After all, they wouldn't ditch a successful ongoing series unless they had to, right? Well, they did, and it was all because of that one line. In fact, the only other reason Valiant could come up with was that they wanted to focus on diversity. Yes! Really? They said that the upcoming issues would feature the first ever gay Bloodshot villain, so I guess that's better than nothing. Oh, and here's a fun fact. When writer Tim Seeley took over the series, he went back to the original plan. Issue No. 2 didn't get a full rewrite. It just lost the problematic line. What does that tell you? That this wasn't about offending readers or protecting children or whatever their public statement claimed. This was about sending a message to other creators. If you step out of line, we will find you, and you will be replaced. So let's just pause for a minute and acknowledge the elephant in the room. Yes, that's right. It's the same old, same old. Nothing surprises me anymore. We all knew that this would eventually happen, but still, it's disheartening to see. It's disheartening to see another publisher fall in line. To see them fold like this. To see them abandon their own story just because a handful of angry nerds threw a tantrum. But hey, I suppose it's better than nothing. Right? Better than nothing. For the last decade, both Marvel and DC have been telling us comics have always been political. Okay? That's why Superman wears a rainbow logo. That's why Captain America fights Nazis. That's why Black Panther exists. That's why Miles Morales is Spider-Man now. That's why half of the X-Men are LGBTQ. Everything we do is political, right? But guess what? Those guys never went woke. It's just that those characters and stories are timeless, which means they naturally touch on issues that are relevant today. That's how storytelling works. But these companies aren't interested in timeless tailies. They're only interested in whatever is trendy right now. Ethan Sachs could write a tennis-shoe Hulk series that explores PTSD and the lasting effects of trauma. But ask him to draw a picture of Wolverine wearing a dress, and he'll probably say yes. Dennis Kemp can make Captain America un-American and turn him into a Hydra sympathizer for a 5-part arc. But ask him to draw a picture of Wolverine wearing a dress, and he'll probably say yes. Okay, I'm joking. He'd never do that. But my point is this. Marvel and DC celebrate creators for pushing boundaries until those boundaries cross a very specific line. Once they get too close to flame, those same creators are shunned and blacklisted. But it's not just the big two. Boom. Studios has caved to pressure before. After releasing Something is Burning, an anthology series edited by John Ridley, the publisher decided to remove it from the shelves and pulled all copies from distribution. Why? Because one of the stories, the plot by James Tynion IV and Carmen Carnero, offended a group of readers who felt that it misrepresented the Boston Marathon bombing. Again, it wasn't a cave to the majority. It was a cave to the loudest voices. What do these companies care about? Profit, power, and control. That's it. They bow to whoever they feel is the most influential, whoever threatens their bottom line. The fans are secondary. Stories are tertiary. What matters is what's trending on Twitter, what's being covered by mainstream media, what's gonna bring in the most money and keep the gravy train running. They're not trying to push the medium forward. They're not trying to take risks. They're terrified of losing what they already have. So it should be no surprise that fans are leaving. Indies are seeing a surge in popularity. Manga sales are booming, and webcomics are blowing up. Why? Because those mediums respect the reader. They tell bold stories without fear of reprisal. They're not shackled to algorithms or beholden to investors. They answer to nobody but themselves. Sure, that one line in Bloodshot Beyond #2 was offensive to some, but it didn't warrant a public apology or a complete creative overhaul. And yet Valiant folded anyway because they're scared. They're scared of the cancel culture mob. They're scared of losing money. They're scared of not knowing what to do next. And to be honest, I don't blame them. It is hard to stay true to yourself when you're surrounded by people who constantly try to tear you down. But that doesn't mean it's okay. It doesn't mean we should just sit back and watch as they destroy everything we love. No, it means we have to fight back. We have to support creators who speak freely, who tell stories the way they want to, even if we don't always agree with them. We have to show them that there's an audience out there that values quality over clicks, substance over style. We have to show them that we're not going to stand for this crap anymore. I know that this isn't a popular opinion. I know that there are people who will disagree with me, who will call me names, but I don't care. This is my channel, and I'll say what I want. If you don't like it, go ahead and unsubscribe. But please, before you do, take a moment to read one of these amazing comics, to pick up an indie title. You can buy Bloodshot Beyond when it gets reprinted. You can buy Jeff Lemire's other books. You can buy anything by Carmen Carnero or James Tynion IV or John Ridley or Dennis Kant or Ethan Sachs. You can buy anything. Buy anyone. But please, for the love of God, buy something. Buy something. Because these creators need our help. They need to know that there's a market for this kind of content. That there's an audience for bold, unapologetic storytelling. Please, buy something. If you're tired of the hypocrisy, hit subscribe. We break down the truth behind the panels. No filters, no fear. Next up, we're taking a look at the most censored storyline in Marvel history. Until then, you can check out our merch by clicking the link in the description below. And as always, thank you for watching. Now, you need to watch this video.
Follow Unlimited League Zone. Like, share, and subscribe for more superhero battles.